I know, but he can still hear me.
Oh. Yeah, but I
You need to call, tell Marie to call in, Ben, or she can't get
Okay.
on.
So we're on YouTube now.
1 second. Okay, yep, you're good to go.
Okay. So pretty
And then-
much all I have to do is let people in and turn it off.
Yeah, does anybody have to share the screen?
Now,
No? Okay, good.
No,
You're
we're
good.
good.
If you need anything, I'm gonna be on my computer, so just send me an email. I can hop back on.
okay. Thanks,
Okay.
Katie. We'll get there. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have
Have a good morning. Don't tell people how dumb I am. Thanks.
Oh, stop. It's hard. You're doing great.
Not a chance.
We're all on that same
I
page.
just have to do it from start to finish one time, and I still haven't done that. So one
That's
more
all right.
time.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Have a good day.
You too.
Computer.
Thanks.
I'm gonna give Bill one more minute to see what he is doing.
Oh, Deb, you
Hey, Bill,
check.
can you unmute?
Sam, do you want to change your name?
You can change, yeah,
Because you don't look like Bill.
I know. Hi,
I'm
Bill.
on mute, Doug, because I'm trying to talk Marie on to getting into the meeting, and she wishes somebody would take notes till she gets on.
Okay, and she can also just call in. She doesn't have to be on Zoom. There's a phone number. There should be a phone number in the link. If she just wants
Whatever
to call.
she's trying isn't work.
Okay. Can I have somebody take some notes until Marie joins? So we can read this and get going. It's 8:33. I'm starting the meeting. Are we good? Somebody? All right.
yeah, take notes, Bill.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law C 330A 18, and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Southborough Council on Aging will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidance for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough website at https://www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner by finding the meeting at www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording transcript or other comprehensive record of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Agenda, all items may have one or more votes taken to the extent action is required. So I'm calling the meeting to order. First business is to review and approve the minutes of the December meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting? The minutes? Russ moved. Second? Who second?
I'll second it.
Okay, good. So I'm going to switch the agenda a little bit. Let's go and start off with the new business first. We'll get the reports at the end. I think I'm going to move those from now on. So Pam, we had whoop, Pam left. Oh, there we are. We had an advisory committee meeting on Wednesday that I attended, Bill attended, Pam attended, and was there anybody else that in attendance? Mary Ann was. I couldn't see the people there, so. So why don't you want to give us a brief update, Pam?
Yeah, it went fine, I think. I think they'd give us what we're asking for. I didn't hear any indication that they wouldn't, but they haven't voted.
Right.
Not that John Rooney didn't give his his best. He even tried to talk them into like
Yeah,
approving us, and they haven't approved anybody. So he took
Right.
his best shot. The only part that I found that was concerning was that they evidently during the meeting announced that there was a memo coming out from the Board of Selectmen, or through Brian, basically, which I got, and I think I forwarded it to you guys. Basically, of course, the selectmen want us to do an exercise where we show a giant cut and then a medium giant cut. Did you guys all get that?
Yeah,
yes,
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so it's, I mean, it's like $22,000. I mean, there's really not much we can do as far as that's concerned. Hold on a minute, I need to,
I see that. I
Yeah, I
did not take a roll call to approve the minutes.
oh, okay.
Sorry about that. I need a second cup of coffee.
Okay,
So,
do you want
here's
to
a
do
roll
that
call.
now, or?
I'm going to go and call an order of my screen. Okay. Carol, do you approve or
Yes, approved.
yes? Russ?
Approve.
Mary Ann?
yes,
Bill?
Yes,
Uh, Sandy?
yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Elaine?
I can't
You're not a
vote.
voting member, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Hello anyway. I haven't seen you for a while.
Hi,
Hi.
Doug.
Elaine,
I'm
if you
sorry,
right
okay.
click on your
So the
picture,
motion is
it's in
approved?
TV.
I'm sorry, Mike?
I was telling Elaine that she right clicks her picture with her mouse. She can change her name so she doesn't have to be Bill.
Right.
Oh, am I still Bill? Wait a minute, click my picture. I don't have a mouse. I'm on my iPad.
Well,
I don't know iPads. I don't know.
Well, it doesn't want to do anything.
she
You can
can
still
use
be
my
Bill.
name if she wants to.
I'll be Bill for a
Just
little
don't sign any checks.
All right. All right, the minutes are approved.
bit.
All
Okay.
right, Pam.
Excuse me, Bill, one more thing. That's it for attendance, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know
I-
where Brent is. I think he must have forgotten. But I'm on the line with Marie, but she's gone. I don't know what's happened to her.
Okay.
Okay.
Joyce, is it, has
Then you
anyone-
can hang up, I guess, Bill.
Wow, we're off to a bumpy start this morning here.
And
No,
it's 2021.
Happy New Year to
You can't-
all.
you Can't even blame.
2021, not looking so good, so.
So at the meeting, I mean, everything went fine. It was just, I knew that memo was coming. So it's not anything, I guess, out of the ordinary to get something like that from, they always makes us go through an exercise or multiple exercises of different budgets and different scenarios. Because what they're trying to do basically is I think somebody said the original submission to them, to the selectmen, was like 9% tax increase or something. I mean, so obviously they have to go down from there. So that's what they're trying to do, is see what it takes to get that down. So
Hey, this is Bill. Is Brent there?
it's pretty simple. Pretty much all we have in our budget is people. and
That's what I was.
people and
calling,
programs.
With the meeting started and he's not there and.
So,
The rest of it is,
Whatever.
the rest of it's
I mean,
operating
it's a budget
expenses.
Exercise.
Yeah, so I mean, I just want you guys to
Yeah.
know, make sure you guys are all right with, basically, I'm gonna take both cuts. I mean, both scenarios that they want are extreme for us.
Okay.
But I only have those places to take money from. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the money from programs. It's
Okay.
either that or
I'll
people or
spread the
operating
word.
expenses.
We just-
So,
Okay, thanks, Judy.
so if
You
you
gotta
guys
put
are,
yourself on mute.
Okay, thanks, Judy. Yeah. Bye.
so if you guys are okay with that, I mean, I'm just gonna take it out of programs.
Yeah,
I have no place else to go.
right.
So if you guys are all right with that, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'll submit them. That doesn't mean it's gonna happen. One of them is $22,000, which more than cuts our program budget in half. The other one I think was, I don't know, $8,000 or $10,000. So that cuts at least better than a quarter of it out. So, but there is no place else to go.
Is that gonna be a problem with the programs?
Sure, if it happened.
Well, this is what I think we should do. I mean, you can show them what would happen if you made these cuts.
Right.
But I think as a board, we need to stand and say, you know, we're a small budget within the larger budget of the town. You know, cutting 22,000 can
Oh, yeah.
really devastate our budget. And I think we need to try to stand firm and not do any cut to our budget. And just, say, this is what the board recommends. This is what would happen. It's going to devastate our programs. But again, looking at the bigger picture of the town, you know, we need to, I think this is a time that we need to say, I mean, we gave money back to them last year. And even the other night, they were pressuring you to say how much money you're going to give back this year. So, I mean, you know, it to me is that we're giving money back. We should at least be a little rewarded for, you know, giving, you know, $40,000 last year. That's a lot of money for our budget. So, you know, I think we have to look at that a little bit and stand.
Maybe
If
we
past
should
history,
ask for that back.
if past history is any indication, these are exercises that Pam has to go through for the town every year. And back, it'll all settle back into some close to where we are now, but they want to try these things out, and unless there's a real disaster in town, I don't think we'll get anywhere near a 5% deal.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully none of the, Bill's right. Hopefully none of that will happen to us. Hopefully, if we don't have to do battle, like Mary Ann just said, I hope we don't. I mean, sometimes these things just go through and they go back and, you know, I'll put a, you know, cover letter together with it explaining that. Pretty much, I think I can use last year's cover letter and the year before. So it's not out of the ordinary. We submit it and, you know, hopefully nothing comes of it. If something comes of it, then we're going to have to make sure we request, you know, to meet with the Board of Selectmen at that point.
Well,
You know, and hopefully that we have an opportunity to do that.
So what I would put in the letter somehow is, you know, what percentage of the overall budget is funded by the town and not by like the Friends. We have to be the only department in town that has that high percentage of a nonprofit funding us. And I think it's getting to the point where we should at some time submit an aggressive budget that takes $20,000 out of the Friends and puts it on the town side. Because why should we be dependent on another entity to support us?
Yeah, that's true.
Any other department in town that depends on that much?
No, not to the extent that it's kind of part of their budget. I mean, I know the library or
Recreation,
recreation has a fund. And I think youth and family has a fund. I think youth and family services might be in the same boat that we are. The other, did you see that note? You need to take a roll call vote. The minutes a second isn't enough. Is that, you all set with
I
that?
did that. We just did
Okay,
that.
that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure you.
Yeah.
I wasn't listening about the second part. Yeah, I mean, we can try that. I mean, I don't know, you know, this year's probably not the year to do that. But next year, if you want to try that approach, because what we really need is those, you know, the budget, the formula grant, and I explained this to them, and the Friends all make up what it takes to run how we run. I mean, that's kind of the flip side of that.
So I might say though, not show the decrease in your budget from the town side, because we have so much of it, so, you know, is being supported by non-town entity already. I don't know what the percentage is. If you can send me the numbers to say that the overall budget is supported by 50% of the town or whatever, I don't
Yeah.
know. But
that
I
could
think,
be a two-edged sword. They're gonna say, oh, great, you guys got Friends helping
Yeah.
you. We don't need to
Right, yeah,
support
we
you
don't-
so
we
much.
don't wanna
no, we're gonna go the
act
same
like
way.
we
The
don't
Friends
need it.
may not support us next year. We don't
And
know.
that's the argument we always go with.
Yeah,
And the same with the community grants, you know?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah, none of those, even the formula grants, not guaranteed. I mean, if the state budget, you know, they'd come out, I mean, there's no doubt they would go after it. So,
It's not, for me, that it's not guaranteed. It's just that it's a significant part of our overall operating cost that the town is not participating in.
yeah,
I mean, for
No,
such a
I-
rich town to only, what is what's the actual number for just the town's part? It's so incredibly small considering the work that we're doing. And shame on them for the youth and family in the same way.
Mhm.
If you can't support essentially some of the more vulnerable people in the community, this is where you're cutting. It's ridiculous.
yeah, I don't think anybody, youth and family, I don't think they rely on it the way we rely on it. I mean, we rely on it as part of our budget. I don't think even they do that much. I think it's just,
Right.
I think it's just us in that boat. No, I don't disagree with that at all. I think it's an uphill battle, but I think it's just another way to show, that it's not all coming from the town.
Right.
It's worth a shot.
I think it's worth fighting for next year. I mean, again, it's kind of late to introduce it now.
Yeah,
But I'm putting that out there. I think that's something that we should start moving towards so we can begin getting more money, whether it's, we can, who's good at mother guilt over here, that can- Well,
John,
Can I interrupt for just 1 second? Let me interrupt for just 1 second. I just got a call from Marie. She's not on the screen, but she is taking notes, Marianne.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, it's Elaine.
Back to sleep.
Yep, tell her I said thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
it's Elaine. Oh, Elaine's
Um,
sick.
I want her email so I can email her what I've taken so far.
Okay.
Okay.
we'll get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for Pam. The 20,000 that the town, that they want you to cut or give back, what percentage, now what was my question? What percentage of programs is that? How much
Program money, we have about
program-
$40,000 in program
Oh,
money.
So they want you to cut programs by half? Is that? what
Well,
they're-
they're not telling us what to cut. They're giving us, all they did was give us a number. And so where we cut is up to us.
Okay, but that
but-
would be half of programs that
It
they're.
would, yeah, because if you look at our budget, the great majority of the budget is salaries.
Okay,
And then the only big chunk that we have in there is that, if you want to call it big, is 40,000. The rest of it is, X amount for postage, X amount for medical supplies.
but
There's
programs
much
is really
smaller
the only
numbers.
Flexible part, it sounds like. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, historically, when we had some other things in there, we could pick and choose.
Yeah,
Like, for example, like if this was to push forward and we had to make a cut in what we currently have, in the past, I would have said, okay, let's cut the conference, let's cut this, let's cut that. But the conference is already over on the formula grant, and there's very little. I mean, the only way we could trim anything else would be trimming small amounts of money out of operating expenses, or people. I mean, those are our only choices. There is no other options.
Pam, what would happen if you went back to them and said, and with no cuts, and said, we don't feel that there is any place in this budget to cut? The only place would be in programs, and in the present situation, to cut from a really vulnerable population that doesn't get out, that doesn't interact with people. You really, you're endangering people by cutting those programs.
right. Well,
Yeah,
this
there's
is why
two
I'm
schools of
asking, if
thought
you're
on
talking
it.
about Really cutting 20 out of 40,000, really.
Yeah, there's two ways to look at it. One, we go through this exercise every single year. I mean, there was a year I had budgets A through F. That's how many scenarios there were. So, is now the time we want to take a stand? I think maybe I guess the way I look at it is cooperate, give them the numbers that you want, put a backup statement in there saying all of those things along with it, give it to them. And then it's most likely going to come back with, it's not going to, my guess is it's not going to come back with that big number. I'm not even sure if it's going to come back with the smaller number. We just don't know what they're going to do, but I think maybe that's the point that's the point we got to put a stake in the ground if they're really going to cut us. I've been through the scare thing like, a million times, and sometimes I get worried. Sometimes I don't think about it at all. Sometimes I just give them the numbers because this is what happens every single year. So, it just depends on how, historically I've handled it by giving them the numbers that we want, and then they come back, and when it starts to get real, with what they're really going to do to us that would stick, that's when we have to, go forward and say, no, we're going to, it's up to you guys. But at that point, then you could say, no, we're not going to take any of it. We
Right.
want what we requested. I'm just not sure this is the right time to do that.
Pam, two things here. Number one, your overall budget only was increased by 2.8%. Am I correct?
That's it. Yep. And the
So in other-
salary increases is 2.5.
Right. So in other words, you were fiscally responsible for our budget. That's the first thing. The second thing is that $40,000 goes back into free cash, as everybody else's budget, who, if they had extra money, that all goes back. So our free cash is getting larger, okay? And that's accessible to, if they decide that they want to spend out so much free cash. I don't know what the total of the free cash is right now. I know that we're kind of in a crunch because of whatever, but the bottom line is that even if you said, I gave you back $40,000, can we have 20,000 of that for our budget out of free cash? Because, we put it back in last year. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but again, I agree with you. I think you go through this process, and then when it comes to the point where they say, oh no, every department has to cut,
Right.
2%, then that's when we stand our ground and we say, look, we need to,
Right.
you need to own this, because, we're not asking for a lot of money here.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I agree with Elaine. I just think it's timing.
Yeah.
When do we do it? I have no issues with you guys saying, no, we're drawing a line in the sand. We want what we asked for, because this budget that we're sitting on right now is not the budget that was submitted. That budget has already been reduced to this budget.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we've already had that whittling down process with, Mark and Brian. So,
Well, there won't ever be a good time to do this, to say, we're done, we're not doing this anymore.
right. I mean, I've been through 20 years of this is the worst year ever. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never heard one year, this is a good time to add some money. I mean, it's never happened. So I don't think it'll ever happen.
We're saying here, take
Yeah, but-
more.
But the budget's already gone through so many machinations right now that I think your approach right now is the right one. Next year, when we start the budget process, I think that's when we raise the bar.
Yeah, I think if nothing else, it'll catch their eye when we take our core budget and we
Right.
actually add how much the Friends, and then you add the formula grant to it. If we submit that number, I
Right.
think that people will definitely maybe see it from a different, I mean, they'll definitely pay attention to it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Or
gonna
then
be
we
a
just take
significant
off-
jump.
Yeah, or then we show them what skeletal really looks like. So is no,
Yeah.
there is none of this. We're not counting this. We can't count it. The Friends
Right.
right now have other ideas about what to do with the money. They may not want to do this. So
Yep,
whatever the reason, I think you do just what you said with the rationale of why we think we should retain this budget. It's a minimal increase. We gave money back already, and we have to be the department with the most outside funding in the town. I don't think it's fair to take away
right.
this much money from us, given all of that.
Yeah, I think I do think that advisory and the selectmen do understand that our budget is those three things added together. I'm not sure they ever looked at it from that perspective.
Right.
So I have no, that next year,
Okay.
that's maybe that's another way to get them to look at it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just us that's gonna go through this exercise.
Right.
Like I said, it's every single year this happens. They're just trying to whittle it down. I mean, we've never ended up stuck with those big number of cuts. Fortunately, that's never happened, but would it surprise me if there was a whittled down version and we still had to cut 5,000? That wouldn't surprise me. And that has to, again, there's no place else to go except programs or people, really. So that's, I think, where we make a stand. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but I would not be shocked. And that it did come to that, at least somewhat of a cut on this budget. And that's when you guys do what you do.
I have some
felt
work
a little
coming in,
more
so if I just
palatable
blank
than
out for a
money.
minute, that's where I'm going, just to let them know.
A quick note, that Joyce is on this, in this meeting, although we can't see her. So Marie,
Right.
who's taking notes, Joyce is attending this meeting.
All right, I'm gonna try to add her. So just keep going. I'm gonna try to figure out how to add her to the,
Can you add Brent? Is he trying to get on too?
I haven't seen any note for him. Says find a participant, invite. I got invite. I don't know what that is. That
Well,
doesn't.
black out.
Man, panelists. Aha,
There she is.
there we go.
All
She
right.
just has to unmute.
Hey,
If you unmute Joyce, then you can talk. There we go.
Okay,
Sorry, just a
thank you.
little slow with this, but at least, hey, I did something right, so.
Pam, if you go to participants, you should be able to click the up arrow and see everybody that's actually here or waiting to get in. I can't do it. I'm not a,
Okay,
Oh,
I've got it. Yeah, I think we're good. I don't think there's anybody else out there, so I think we're
Okay.
good.
mine shows 12 people, so,
Yeah, there's 9 panelists and 3 attendees.
okay.
I have 9.
I have 9.
And since this is just YouTube,
I've got 10.
I have 10.
I have 12.
All right, whoever's got 12, who have you got?
Oh, you want me to tell you who I got? Okay, hold on.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. I have myself, Pam, Doug, Sandy, Bill, Carol.
2 Bills, who's the other Bill?
Thing. You.
Oh,
You.
me.
Mike and Russ. And then 3 attendees who are
Oh, probably
oh,
Katie.
Joyce, Marie, and T. Lit.
That's Tim.
Tim Lit.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay,
I wondered
Thank
who
you.
that other third person was. Yep.
We have 1 attendee that is not part of our,
I have Joyce listed as.
All right. Is there any questions now remaining about the advisory committee and what we're going to do in response? All right.
So
we'll
I
take
will
care
put
of-
together, I will submit those 2. I'll give you guys a copy and I will do a write-up. Like I said, I know the drill. We've done it a million times. So to submit with that cover, to submit a cover letter with it.
Yeah.
And then we go from there. We have to just wait and see where they go. I mean, on the plus side, I think advisory was fine with it. I actually think when we presented to the Board of Selectmen, they were fine with it, with what we would do. We didn't ask for anything. So, but who knows? I mean, they're looking at a big picture, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. What's going on with the winter drive-throughs?
Okay, the drive-throughs, we are gonna do through the winter. We're gonna give it a shot. My plan to limit that in case we had bad weather or, it was freezing out or something like that. So what I was gonna do is limit those and then take a wait list like after 50 or 60 people. But, we gave up the ship because there was such a demand for it. So, we're up to, I don't know, at least 60, 70 people on 1 or both of those already. So they're going to climb probably towards the 80s again. And the hardy souls that want to do this still seem to be willing. So we're going to do it. We're going to go for it pretty much like we always have. The other thing that's happening with some drive-throughs is we're doing a program for the dull men. We're doing a lunch program for the Trailblazers. Kind of through putting together that process, we came up with a plan to do a Sunday dinner drive-through with Kennedy's.
Oh,
Yeah, it was kind of a
that's a
neat
good
one.
idea.
Yeah, when they came up with how about a Sunday, I thought it was great. I mean, what's more boring than Sunday afternoon under these circumstances?
Yeah,
So,
the
When
Patriots are
football's
gone.
gone, right.
so, a nice dinner, pick it up and go home and put it on a plate. That's what I suggest. It's much more of a Sunday dinner if you don't eat it out of a styrofoam box. Um, but yeah, we can do that. And we can, supplement it with some money from the Friends to bring the cost down, just enough to make sure everybody, has some skin in the game and they actually show up when they sign up. So, yeah, so that was kind of a neat one. So we're adding those things. I might as well just keep going if you don't mind. We're adding the Qigong class. Signups are going okay on that. Signups for some of our other classes are going even better than they were before. So if there was any doubt in anybody's mind that Zoom exercise classes don't work, they do work. I mean, they're substantially full enough that when we go back to normal, we're going to have to consider, keeping a Zoom portion, because I think some of these people are going to want to stay Zoom. So that's where some of this Friends money and formula grant money is going to really come in handy, because I think some of them, we might be able to fill a class on Zoom and then fill the same type of class in-house. So I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see how that pans out. But I think we might have to run some parallel type programs or variations of some programs to accommodate what everybody wants, which is kind of neat. I didn't know that would happen. I mean, I don't think
you're right.
yeah.
Can it be done simultaneously?
I don't know the answer to that question.
I would think maybe it could.
It can be.
You can do live Zoom
That's what
classes.
they do
Why
with
not?
That's what they do in the schools. They do a simultaneous, if they, half the classes
Yeah,
at
that does
home,
make sense.
they're teaching it,
That would be great. I think that maybe that is the solution. I'm not sure. We'd have to figure out how to set it up, but like if you're running one of our fitness classes, at the max is 20 people, because you can only keep track of so many people on Zoom. That'd be great if we could do that same class in-house and then have it available on Zoom at the same time. I mean, that would be great.
You know what, I would suggest asking the instructor,
right?
because the
Oh, yeah.
instructor has to keep an eye on
Both.
individuals to make sure they're doing the form right. So they
Yeah.
would probably have an idea of whether they think they could do
Yeah,
those
there's a lot.
things better than the students would have. That's
Yeah,
my,
that's a
my
good
input.
point.
Yeah, the teachers are finding it difficult to do simultaneous teaching with the Zoom class and the in-house students.
Yeah,
So-
so but with an exercise class, they really have to keep an eye on
Yeah.
people's form to make sure they're doing it right. Otherwise, they could hurt themselves.
Yeah, so that's a safety concern. And I don't know, we have, again, a long way to go on those classes too, because we don't know what instructors are going to be available. Because right now, there's instructors out there that are doing kind of back-to-back classes on Zoom,
Yeah.
but they're in two different locations. So I don't know if they're going to want to, come live, or we just don't know. We haven't asked those questions yet, but I mean, there's some cases that we may not be able to get, it's not as easy as, Sharon, can you now do your 9 o'clock class in person at the senior center? And we have no idea if that's going to, work out that way we don't know what their schedules are. We don't know if they are like tight from one place to another with Zoom. We don't know if they're going to want to stay Zoom. So, I mean, when until we get to the point where it looks like we're going to have a possibility of openings, with classes. we're not
It might, but it might be a good idea to start those conversations now, Pam.
Yep.
And just
Yep.
say, have you given any thought to what you want to do once things open up again?
Correct. Yeah,
And
that's
think,
why that's why it's coming up now.
Yeah.
It's kind of feels like the right time, like you said, to kind of start those conversations. I mean, I'd like to kind of make sure that they know we are interested. No, I agree. I think the timing is right to at least start the conversations, whether it's, I would like to say, oh, we'll be able to do classes in the summertime, or, I mean, if you'd asked me a month ago, I would have said, oh, maybe April. But the more time that goes by, I keep pushing it to, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we'll be able to do some stuff outside. Now it's kind of more conversations look like the fall. But we'll do what we can when we can. And, you know, I think I mentioned to Bill that some of the formula grant money at this point should be probably, or when we get a little closer, spent on some more outdoor furniture. I just think in general, we're gonna have to do more stuff outside. So I know we can talk more about that in a month and see where we're at. But if anything, I'm hoping we can do some stuff outside this summer. I mean, I hope. We'll see what happens. That's kind of where we're at with that. I don't know if there's other stuff you guys want to talk about. You know, we've got some things on. Actually, you know what? I forgot to grab a copy of the newsletter and bring it home with me. I meant to. But you guys already have it and see the
Right.
date and what we're offering for cable.
Right.
For Zoom. We've got the 2 drive-through classes. We've got the behind the scenes stuff going on with Trailblazers and Dull Men. Plus we've got the, of course, the caregiver meals program. Then we've also got, I think the 27th of this month is scheduled another one of those special delivery kind of things. I haven't got the volunteers set up for it because Cindy's still working on my list. So she's still working on that, you know, whittling down through the 80s. And we'll have another, I'm not sure. I asked her for 40 people that we'll deliver a treat to. And more importantly, we'll get a phone call from her to check in, see how they're doing, you know, on our quest to speak to people on a regular basis. So that's coming up too. So I think that's it for
Okay.
programs.
And so that just leads us right into outreach right now if we want to go in there. And basically it's continuing what it has been for the last few months.
Yeah, I mean, it is continuing. Cindy is talking to a lot of people on a, you know, the people that are more in need on a regular basis. And she's developed quite a rapport with them. I mean, they kind of expect to talk to her at least, you know, a couple times a month. So I think that her relationship has changed with those people. They always knew and worked with her, and but now it's sort of like she kind of knows a little bit more about their life on a day-to-day basis and what's going on with them, which has been kind of neat. I mean, that she's becoming even more attached to people. So, and I think they find it really easy to talk to her, even more now because of that. They're really familiar with her. So that's been an interesting kind of progression. The other thing is, I mean, she's busy, proactively busy more than she ever has. I mean, she spends a ton of time on the phone. And we've had some serious situations come in that, you know, we've had to deal with. And, you know, she has to deal with that along the way. You know, there's a bunch of people with medical situations and other, you know, other situations going on that she really is keeping an eye on. Actually, we kind of, usually Cindy, Leslie and I kind of work together on a lot of those cases, just so we keep an eye on them. And, you know, there might not be anything we can do technically, but just for support purposes, checking in on those people more. And sometimes it's her, sometimes we have contact with them. So it's kind of neat. I mean, I think we're certainly covering as many people as we know about, basically.
Yeah. So is
Anybody, excuse me, a quick question. Is anybody keeping some sort of a record of how many contacts she's making, how many people that she's assisting, so that when we go to town meeting, we can say, look, we're not just a social organization. These are people, this is what we've done for our elderly through this pandemic?
Yep, we have, that's the, all collected through My Senior Center. It's all collected and put into the system.
Okay.
So we should be able to look at, you know, how many, like actually Lorraine and I just talked about that fairly recently because of making sure we catch those things. Because the things that go on the calendar, all hold a spot in my senior center. So if you have an exercise class, there's a spot in there to collect the data. We have to go through an extra hoop to put in, say, a special treat meal on a special treat delivery with volunteers on a certain date. Like, that's not on the calendar. So that has to get entered separately, and then then Lorraine can enter the data. So we would just had a conversation about that, because I think we've done, I don't know, 3 or 4 of those kinds of deliveries, just like when the kids were singing Christmas carols and things like that stuff. I was like, oh, we're not catching that. So we have to kind of regroup to make sure we don't miss it, because not only does that add up in numbers, it adds up in new numbers for us with new people. There are people we may not have counted before because they've never come to the senior center. So there's a category called client finding, and that is new contacts that we'd be dealing with, say, this year that weren't in there before. So that's an interesting number to see. So that's, yes, to answer your question, yes, we are collecting all of that in probably 6 different ways. So hopefully we can put it together in an overall category, but then you can also see it individually. You can see how many people were delivered to that day. Or the other thing is Cindy tries to, which is not easy, collect how many phone contacts. Normally it's how many people in person, how many people in the office, how many phone contacts. That's a really tough thing to track, but she does the best she can to kind of take all those notes, and all of that should be in there too. We're working on accuracy. It's kind of a work in progress with all of it, but to answer your
Okay, thank
question,
you.
So I have one other question about sort of Vaccine Central. Is Leslie sort of Vaccine Central right now if people have questions?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. She's any question we get about the vaccine, we send it to Leslie.
Okay.
She calls, and we've gotten,
Wow.
some specific questions. Most of them are people that are just asking general questions that she doesn't have the answers to, but she can give them a general answer. A lot of people want to know, what's going on in town with the Board of Health kind of thing. And I don't think there's been any definitive answers. I mean, I know they're working on it all over the place, but I haven't heard anything, concrete as far as this is how they're doing it or this is how they're not doing it. But Leslie is fielding those calls.
All right, well, good. So we have 2 other items. I mean, I take it the grants and the formula grant, really, there's not any new updates on the grant situations. Things are.
No, the formula grant it is what it is. I don't know if we
Right.
actually have the cash in hand. I mean, but that's very typical. And the community fund, we already have that. I believe that's already been done. Normally there's a ceremony and everything that goes along with that, but of course that didn't happen this year.
Right.
We did get notice, and that was deposited into that account. So yeah, nothing new. I mean, we're just gonna have to make some decisions in the next couple of months, how to spend the rest of that formula grant money for this year. Like I mentioned, the furniture are different. If you have ideas on where to go with that, we've kind of allocated with the current programs that we have going on now, just continuing as kind of status quo month to month. We will expend our program money on all of these other programs that we've switched over to. And we do have expenditures, some, not a lot, but some in that formula grant, but we'll have to make some decisions on what to do about that. But maybe not for another month.
Pam, could they use any of that money to get like some Chromebooks?
Sure, you can use, yeah, it's an option.
I know we kind of talked about this a little bit the other day, but we may want to look a little bit into the future. And Chromebooks are kind of the thing now that seems to be popular. And I was wondering if maybe if you got, a half a dozen of them, which wouldn't be a lot of money, possibly, you know, we could look at how can we get this technology out into seniors' hands and, you know, have, you know, a small class of 2 or 3, you know, a couple of times, and, you know, people could even, you could loan them out, or, you know, whatever, they kind of maybe go to the schools and see what the schools do, you know, as far as, I know Southborough, I don't think has, they don't have, I don't think, their own Chromebooks. I'm not sure. I lose track of what, but there are other school systems that do have Chromebooks that the kids take home and things like that. So maybe we want to look into something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good possibility. At least start with, even if we just started, do you know how much they cost? How much each?
Yeah,
I think
depends on, it depends like anything else. You can buy a Chromebook for $200 to $300.
right.
Yeah, I mean, and we'd want something very basic. I mean, I see something like that, you know, taking a senior that really doesn't know how to even do email, because what we want is to, you know, develop more contact for them so they can email their kids or email, you know,
Well-
people, even the simplest thing to start anyways.
Well, this brings me right to a point that I was going to talk about afterwards myself. One of the things that got mentioned at the advisory board was that there is CARES money available right now, and for COVID. And while it can go into well-being checks and a variety of other things, I think it could probably go into buying Chromebooks.
Yeah, I just don't know. I have to find out
I
about
was-
that. I don't know. I mean, that was the first I heard of that, so.
Yeah.
Um,
I'd like to try and find somebody in town that would sort of really take that for us, because I think that's an awful lot of money that can be sitting out there waiting to be taken. I was on a educational webinar with Ethos on Wednesday. Ethos is essentially Baypath in Boston, in the southwest corner, and they have been using CARES, and they've been actually bought a lot of Chromebooks that they distributed to seniors in their area. And so I think we could probably find somebody there who could help us figure out what they did, you know, for that. But I think it's a great idea, and I really like the idea of trying to find out how can we get CARES money. I'm
Yeah,
really
I'm not sure.
disappointed that the town has not been more involved in helping us do that. But is there anybody that we could look as a volunteer that might really take that as a project? Because I think it would be a great project for us. Anybody, Marianne, in your group, you know, that you could think of that
The
might say, oh,
Trailblazers group, you mean?
yeah.
Um,
I mean, you don't have to think about it now, but I'm just saying, think about it. Somebody who you know, they can
I'd be
go after the money.
willing
Or
to
Carol?
help with that project. I wouldn't be willing to take it on by myself, but I've got enough background to help with it.
Okay.
If we can get another person who's IT savvy,
Well, not just IT savvy, but I want people, you know, that
Yeah.
knows, that can write that, you know, help get the PPE money into,
Yeah.
well, my
Track it.
question is there not a person in town that does grant writing or is in charge of grants for the town? I mean, that's what I mean. Is each department on their own where they just kind of go off and do this thing themselves?
well, we haven't seen anything coming from the town yet, so I don't know.
There's different pieces that are going on with like the police department, fire department. You know, I'm sure there's things happen. There was that mortgage program that we were involved with. But I don't know, you know, I don't know that there's one person. I think maybe if Carol is interested and can kind of maybe find out a little bit more, maybe we can start with like Lisa Braccio, because she was really involved in that mortgage, her and
Yeah.
Chelsea. So maybe we can start with one of them and say, hey, we've got this idea. We don't want, you know, we don't want millions of dollars, but we want enough. The other thing is if we were to do, like ask for, say, 10 Chromebooks or money to cover that, we also have to have a plan in place as to what we're going to do with them. I mean, that it's not that simple. It's not like, okay, we need this money and this is what we spent it on. There has to be justification with it. So that would be the other piece, but it's worth asking. And I think maybe we can get some guidance probably from Lisa or Chelsea, Carol, if we can talk later and maybe at least start with that and then kind
Yeah,
of.
but I also think that person, this money's going to go away eventually. So I think that person can help us write the rationale for why you need Chromebooks, because it's not something new. And I was actually thinking of something a little bit bigger. I mean, part of this would be maybe to even fund like a volunteer coordinator for a period of time. I mean, I think we don't know how much money that is. I mean, why be satisfied with 10 Chromebooks when we might be able to get $20,000 or $30,000 and fund a part-time position that somebody can organize that along with other things that we could be doing. I mean, we don't know how much money's on the table. That's what I'd like to find out.
Yeah, we have to start, let's start with the big picture and find out what, and how long that's gonna be there, because,
Right.
yeah, I mean, that's a big undertaking, and we just need to make sure there's enough longevity with it to make sure it's worth it, or we could pull it off.
Right.
So Carol, do you want to take that on?
Well, as I said, I really think it's more than a one-person deal, but I'll talk.
Well, we just want to find out what's anything in town going on. I mean, maybe
Well,
Bill, could you call Ken Paulus and see what's going on, if they've been doing anything, and could he direct us to somebody in the police or the fire department?
Yeah, I know they're tracking like all the PPE and all of that stuff. I mean, I don't know what additions they bought or what other things they bought, but all of that, I know that's all being tracked through the town. Police and fire and everything they bought, that basically if you bought anything that has to do with the pandemic, that's where it's getting funneled through. You have to track it.
Okay.
But I'm not sure what the justification, I don't know the details of the
Wait, are
justification.
you saying that police and fire have purchased electronics related?
I don't know. I don't know.
There is
This is what you wanted to find out.
there's a chat note right here from Tim Litt that says there is no townwide grant writer, though there has been some discussion driven by Sam Stivers. But now everyone is on his own. Also, the Municipal Tech Committee is a resource.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is from Tim Litt today.
I'm
right?
glad he clarified that first part, because I wasn't 100% sure that I had that's what I thought, but I wasn't 100% sure that I wasn't missing something. But, and yeah, Carol, that's the other resource that we would have, is there might be somebody that we could buddy with on that technical committee.
Does anyone know who that technical committee is by any chance?
We can find out. I think their names are online, and we can make that
I
connection.
can look that up.
No,
I
Ryan
just thought if
Sandberg is
anybody
on.
had a name.
The
Who's
ones,
on it, Mike?
There it is, Matt Provost. And he
Matt
was really
Sandberg.
good, because I sat in on that meeting, the selectmen meeting.
Oh, there we
where
go.
He taught, and I thought he was really good for a tech guy.
So the subject was already broached at that meeting, so they're kind of at least aware that we would be interested in doing something with them. Pandemic related or not, it's a great resource for us.
Gail Jenks was also a technology person in the schools, and she might be a good one
No,
to
that's a good
to help
point.
put
The
a
schools are another
curriculum.
resource.
Well, to put a curriculum together, because she knows how to teach at the basic level. So
Yeah.
that's what you need.
But Algonquin or even Assabet might have someone
Yeah.
to
maybe.
at least get some information from.
The other thing is when you go looking for these applications for the CARES Act money, I think if you can touch base with someone in town who has already applied,
Right.
then you get an idea. So I don't know if there's a key person at the police department or whoever else is getting these grants, but that's what you need to do to see. I mean, you can pull the application up off, I've gone
Right.
looking for the PPP money, and the application is, pretty basic, but there are numbers that you have to fill in too. So you
Yeah,
have
we can find out. Either we can find out from Lisa or go backwards from the
Right.
town. The town accountant has to keep track of all this stuff.
Yeah. But I would
Here's
go,
all that.
you
We
start
could
with
go-
Lisa, because she might have some insight as to the application. And then, yeah, you're right. But I think that's what you should do. Tap someone who's already done it.
Yeah, and Lisa, the other part with Lisa, she also, might help us along.
Yeah,
You
we're
know,
not
to get a
starting from
project
scratch,
through.
so somebody else has done this. We're not inventing this process.
Right.
So is Carol going to take on also looking at the application for money?
I think we need to just start with it, what's available
Right.
and what the time frame is.
So who's going to be doing that?
If Carol wants to talk to Lisa, that's fine. Otherwise, I'll talk to Lisa.
Well,
I'd like to make sure I keep Carol in the loop.
I'll talk to Lisa, but I want to keep you in the loop there. Yes.
No, it's exactly, yeah, that's what I said. I want to, we can do it, you and I can talk after.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to keep you in the loop if I'm talking to her, so.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause
I think it might be a three-way call rather than trying to relay the information.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Because
That's a really good-
you'll have questions you want to ask directly, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, that's a really good idea, because I don't know the technical part of
Yeah,
of this.
I'll contact Lisa and set something up where the three of us can talk.
That'd be good.
I'm going to try to hurry this along because it's 9:30 almost, and we have a big Dull Men's group coming up. And you can talk about it in a minute, Bill. We also discussed, can we give them just a highlight of what got discussed about the renovations at advisory? Because they were a little wishy-washy, if you ask me. It's like, if this ever happens, good. But who knows if it's ever going to happen.
I
Bill,
think that summarizes the whole thing.
is that a summary?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, the advisory board, they're listening to us, they're supportive of us.
Right.
The whole thing is in flux because we don't know what we're doing. It's basically in the hands of the capital planning committee right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And Jason Malinowski is very much on our side as far as getting something done. He had told me a month ago that they thought the school committee was going to make some kind of a decision in December as to what they were doing with schools, but obviously that hasn't happened. So it's in a real state of flux, and until something breaks,
Yeah.
we just got to sit and keep our fingers crossed, but know that the advisory board is supportive of us, know that the capital planning committee, whatever it's called, is very much supportive of us, and they know of our interest in getting a renovation done in the advisory board. So we've got their support, but
Yeah.
given the conditions, Assabet is a year behind now because they've lost a year on projects. So we're still in the queue. That was confirmed at the advisory board meeting by Jason, that John Parent has been talking to them, and we are still in the queue to use Assabet if it comes to that. But it may come to a school. There's nothing we can do. We just got to sit and keep our ear to the ground and keep our presence in front of them, keep the axle greased, so to speak.
I want to make one comment about when they keep saying that they don't want to put an addition on a building if the senior center may be moving. But my question here is, that building is used for other departments too. And I don't find it a problem, even if the addition went ahead. But I don't doubt that the town could then start to move other departments around and use that building for other departments. So to me, when that excuse comes up, I think maybe we need to say, yes, but this can be used for other, departments.
I mentioned that at the advisory board meeting the other night, that even if we did put it on, that it's not a waste of money in the long run. If the building's utilized for something else, that certainly would be an asset to the property. So
I agree. Yeah.
I did mention that at the advisory board for what it's worth.
Good. Can we do quick reports, Friends report, Mary Ann, anything?
Well, Pam already mentioned that the Friends were sponsoring a lunch for Dull Men's and Trailblazers and the Sunday lunch, I believe. We are having a meeting January 18th. We're going to have a virtual meeting to just kind of update us on what's happening with the funds and, if we're getting increasing funds. So, we're doing very well at this point. Again, as you mentioned, if those funds start to dwindle a little bit, in the years to come, then the support, obviously will also decrease. But, right now we're doing well, and we're trying to support some things that, Pam has asked for, which, we're very receptive to. So that's about it.
Okay, thanks. Joyce, is anything going on at Bay Path that's new or?
Well, what was interesting at our last meeting, Fran Backstrom, she addressed our group about a month ago, And she gave a walkthrough on what happens when someone calls Bay Path. And it was very informative and it was very encouraging. New consumers are all taken very seriously, and within a reasonable amount of time, their concerns are addressed. And it was just a really good way for someone who hasn't called Bay Path for anything to be more encouraged to use the service. It's provided to everyone, and I'd like to tell people listening to rest assured everything is confidential, and no question is too small. And they can give you direction that can help in many different ways. They're in your boat. So that's my plug for Bay Path. Thank you.
You're welcome. Carol, anything on the legislative front?
Well, nothing formal on elder affairs. However, I did do some vaccine research, and it's you know, what's coming out is they are prioritizing the who and the when, and they've got well, let's see if I can read my own handwriting. It looks like the the public will start getting as it stands now, February through April. The first tier will be anyone 75 or older with 2 or more comorbidities, plus public health workers. And that may, and Sandy and I were talking the other day, Sandy mentioned that that may include like our meal delivery people. Sandy, you may be able to elaborate.
That was something that came from Mass Council on Aging, note that they send out, that the potential for different people, different groups within the senior community to be vaccinated, along with the first group that would include 75 and older people.
So, okay.
I don't know if that's actually going to happen.
This is all still kind of like rough hearsay, but this is what they're saying right now. The third group then would be adults 65 and older, and this is still in the February to April timeframe. So you know, the first group in the January, February, I guess January to March timeframe is the healthcare, the on-site medical workers and whatever. So we're still talking, excuse me, February through April, and that could be pushed out. You may have heard Baker has extended, this is not necessarily elder related, but just COVID related, that Baker has extended the restrictions out another 2 weeks, anything that was in place. And these are just some numbers that I thought were interesting. The spike in the hospitalization since Thanksgiving, the occupancy went from 65 to 85% in the 6 weeks since Thanksgiving. I guess it's about 6 weeks. So this is cause for the extension, and that's as of yesterday. So that's basically all I have. It relates to elders, but to everyone in general, really. So if you have any questions on any of that.
Okay. Yep.
One more thing. I did get some word that the AFC clinic in Marlboro is going to be one of the sites for vaccinations. Again, it's not official, so, but keep your ears and eyes open for that. That's something I'll verify with Leslie. I haven't talked to her about that. She may know more.
Trailblazers, back to you, Mary.
We are doing 3 hikes a month. We do one a week, one on a Tuesday, one on a Wednesday, one on a Thursday. They've been pretty successful. We have about maybe anywhere from 12, 15 people going on these hikes, and we're all masked up, and we have our crampons and our walking sticks because of some of the trails that are a little bit more icy. And so that's been working out well. We still continue to have our meetings once a month, and they're attended, and anyone's welcome to come to those and give some suggestions. Right now, we still are sticking with our core group that we've had, just because we know these people and we have the emergency information on them. But I'm excited. I related to the people that maybe by this summer we'll be able to do some more things, larger group activities, and that's what we're looking forward to. So that's what's happening with us.
Mary Ann, I think all I could picture is you guys in like those giant plastic bubble things,
No.
You don't fall, nobody falls down, nobody breathes the same air.
No, we're doing great, and everybody seems very happy and excited to be being outside, outdoors, exercising, just being together. So it's
Yeah, and I think the lunch thing is an extra boost for that group.
exactly. That's very nice of the friends. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thank me. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Harrington.
Yes, sir, Mr. Peck. The Dole Men's Club in about 15 minutes is going to have our weekly meeting. Today is Arthur Butler's 100th birthday.
Oh.
He's over at New Horizons Assisted Living over there. He has, and thanks to Doug, hopefully is going to be on Zoom with us at our meeting today. I think that's set up, right, Doug?
I think it is, yes, should be. I got the email sort of notifications that we're all set, but we'll see, hopefully.
Okay, so that would be great if Arthur could get on with us today for our Zoom meeting. If you read my South Pro, the veterans are also going to honor Arthur this afternoon with some kind of a drive-by parade, which everybody's invited to attend if they want to.
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks, we haven't had meetings because of the holidays, so this will be our first time back together today. Next week, we're gonna, thanks to Pam and the Senior Center, we're gonna have a drive-by luncheon strictly for the Dole Men's Club. We're calling it the Meal and the Mask, because we're gonna have a luncheon that we're gonna hand out to the Dole men, and their wives are invited to have also a meal, which is going to be actually a sub sandwich with potato salad and a cookie. And also we're going to give the guys a mask that has the Dole Men's logo on it. So that'll be fun. So that's where we are at the moment. We've had a very good attendance. We've had up to 20 guys on our Zoom meetings, and they seem to be working very well. So we're off and running for the new year.
Good.
That's where we missed Trailblazers, Mary Ann, masks.
But you're getting sweatshirts.
I know, but masks.
You didn't mention that, Mary Ann.
We've missed that opportunity. No, not yet.
So,
you're right.
Not
quickly,
today.
the last two items, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
were on just any update on the walking challenge, Sandy? Is that still going?
Well, we had one more person who signed up for it after getting the latest news bulletin. So that brings our number up to 26. And the people that I've heard back from, I sent an email out yesterday to everyone. I've heard back from a bunch of people already saying that they're enjoying it. They're getting out there and they're walking 4 miles or whatever a day. So it's going well.
I must not be on your list, Sandy, but I am doing the challenge anyway, so.
No, I've had trouble with trying to, for the computer getting things out, and it came back on one group. So
I'm
I can
doing
send
it
them out.
anyway, regardless. Okay.
No, you're on the list there, but some of the names came back and I have to resend it.
And lastly, anything going on with the gardens besides hibernation? No.
Actually,
But just encourage, I'm sorry, just encouragement from someone I talked to yesterday who has a great kale recipe. So that gave me encouragement to maybe plant more kale. And
Don't do that.
yeah, we're still going to do that raised bed garden one way or another, right, Sandy?
Right. That's for sure.
With the
And
garden.
actually, the front flagpole garden, I'm going ahead with the plaques, the memory plaques. And Pam, do you happen to have an approximate price of what that cost for the plaque? I mean,
Off the top of
roughly.
my head, it wasn't super expensive. I'll have to look it up. I don't remember.
Okay, well, I'm gonna put that into I'll give them a call anyway, but I'm gonna put that into the March, April newsletter. Basically, what we're gonna offer is memory plaques to glue onto the bricks that line the garden, and it'll be a fundraiser for Trailblazers. And I don't know, I'm assuming that are they like $10, $20 for the plaque? I have no idea.
I don't remember. I mean, it was, I don't know. I have to
Well,
look.
whatever it is, I'll double it and say, remember your loved one on a brick in the garden.
Well, the
And,
money would have to
I'd
go
like to
to-
get one for Arthur Holmes anyway. I want to.
Oh, nice,
I want to
Nice.
do one for him, and I have a few family members I want to do one for.
nice.
So-
And then on that, Carol, the money would have to go through the Friends, basically.
Yes,
So,
yes. Yeah, it
uh,
would be donations to the Friends.
yeah.
So I
Yeah,
figured it would
that
be.
price. I can't remember if
I
it
want to
was-
make it kind of like a small donation to the Friends, buy a plaque for the, we'll call it the memory garden or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what we were gonna call it way
Yeah.
back at the beginning, so.
Yeah,
And we could get plaques that are maybe smaller than, I don't know, we can.
yeah, I was thinking they'd be maybe 2 by 5 or something, 3 by 5 or something, not too big.
Yeah.
Size, they'd have to be the size to go on the face of a brick.
Yeah, well, the bricks are probably 3 by 8, but I figured that the plaques would be small enough
Right.
to be
Yeah,
cheap.
They
I'll give
can
you a
actually,
call.
they can actually engrave bricks. Over at Yankee Golden Retriever, we had bricks. So you
Then I'd have to take the bricks
tell
out.
them what you want and print it on the brick. So it's not a plaque that's attached.
Well, no,
It's an
this would,
actual
I don't think
brick.
I'd want to take the bricks off and, I don't know.
Oh, the brick's already there?
Okay, just a
They're
thought.
already there. The bricks are lining the flagpole garden. So I was thinking just a little metal plate that would be glued onto the brick. I'm checking into it. I haven't, we have one that is already on the back of the sign. That's what got this started.
Ugh.
Yeah, they'll be
Anyway,
helpful.
I'm looking into it. I'll report out next month.
If you talk to Engravables, they'll be helpful.
Yes, that's what I figured. They'll give some ideas.
Yeah, and both Joyce and Carol, as far as the gardens, we do want to get, if you want to get information out, you probably want to get it out in that next newsletter. 'Cause
Yes,
it'll be
and
March and April, believe it or not.
actually March, I'm going to resurrect the, get out there and cut the dead stuff and get that going again, because the green stuff is going to start coming up in March.
Yes, what do you think you want to get out there, Joyce, about that back, I don't know if you're looking for any volunteers or what you'd like to do, but that's probably, I'm guessing you'd probably want it in there with the April information.
Okay, I'll put something together and send it to Peg and, try to be uplifting and encouraging and to get some people involved. That would be great.
Spring is coming.
I'll do it.
Spring's right around the corner.
Yes, I bought almond milk yesterday that expires March 20th. I said, wow, spring is here.
Is there any other new business?
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to,
So moved.
Seconded.
I second it.
I'm going to take a roll call again. Carol,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
The dog says
The
yes.
dog agreed, thank you. Bill,
Sorry, I'll mute.
Sandy,
Yes,
Mike,
Yes.
Joyce?
Yes.
Thank you. And I vote yes as well. So, well, that's the first meeting of the new year. I think there's a lot of stuff going on. As usual, we may not be there. Are you there today, Pam, at the center?
No, I'm not in the office today.
Okay.
Do you need something? I think Lorraine's going over for
Um,
a little while.
I
What
may.
about those forms that we were supposed to sign? I talked to the town clerk and he said, there's conflict of interest
Yes,
that Doug sent out. And you can just print it out and drop it in the town hall mailbox where you pay your
Right.
taxes, to the attention of Amy at the town clerk's office.
yeah, if you haven't done that,
Just-
please do that. Otherwise, you can scan it and email it in, but you can also just print, it's just make sure you just print one page of it, the last page where your signature is.
Has anybody done the ethics test and got that?
I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, all done.
Yep,
I did it and then I couldn't figure out how to print it out. And so I wasted all my time for the,
what?
It says print.
Yeah.
it didn't say print. It didn't say. I couldn't find it where it
I
said
don't
print.
remember. I printed out the
They
certificate.
have a little picture of a printer, Bill?
Yeah, I expected it to be on the screen, but maybe I should have used the print that's on my computer, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, I wasted 45 minutes.
Control, you do Shift Command 4, and then you,
Or maybe you can just go back in your history and resurrect it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
yeah, that would be.
Maybe, I don't know.
I'll print mine and white out my name, okay?
Elaine can do it because she's already got my name.
Oh, great. I'm not official, Bill.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
Figure out how to do it so I don't come under your name.
All right, Pam, it's up to you now to end the meeting here.
Okay, so we're gonna end the meeting.
Yeah, we got to vote.
Okay.
All set.
Okay, bye, everybody.
See you all.
Good to see you all again.
See you in a minute, Doug.
Bye.
Mike.
Yeah.
See you later, Mary Ann and Sandy,
Okay, Happy New Year.
or Mary Ann anyway.